Stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time, having a good time. I'm a shooting star leaping through the sky like a tiger, defying the laws of gravity. I'm a racing car passing by.
Hello and welcome to our second part of our look at the Chosen Axes set for Warhammer Underworld Shadespire. So in the last part we looked at the Fyreslayers themselves and their objective cards. Now with those in mind, let's look at the the Chosen Axes unique upgrades. And again, these are my first impressions of the new cards that are available and how they're going to affect the meta. I have not looked at any of these cards prior to this very moment. So, starting off, and this is in no particular order. Defiant Strike. This is specific to Tefk, so we'll bring him down in frame. Okay, so this gives him a new attack, 1 hex range, 3 daggers, not great, and only 1 damage. But this is a reaction during an attack action that succeeds against this fighter. This fighter cannot be driven back. It makes this attack action. It must target the attacker. Okay, so this is something that we've seen in the Stormcast Eternals with Angarad Brightshield. It's an incredibly powerful ability because it allows you, one, to prevent him from getting knocked off an objective, which, considering the objective focus of the Fyreslayers, is going to be very useful. And it lets you deal some damage outside of the 12 activations that you're allowed in a game. This is a very strong choice. Tefk himself being kind of a mid-tier character for this faction, this is very good. And I like it for the same reasons. Again, I like Angarad Brightshield's ability. This is going to make him a lot more dangerous to attack. That being said, Tefk is a lot less sturdy than Angarad, having 1 fewer health until he's inspired. And even when he is inspired, he's not getting the 2 dice that you get from Angarad. So that is worth keeping in mind. Solid, but I would not build a strategy around this just yet. So moving right along, we have Flurry of Blows. And this is for Maegrim only, who we defined as the closest thing. Earlier we defined this guy as probably the closest thing to Chaff you're going to see amongst the Chosen Axes. So again, this is going to have the same problems that you're going to see with other upgrade cards that are unique to Chaff, in that it's really hard to justify spending that upgrade on them. Both in terms of spending the glory for it and putting it into your deck with all of the other great options. But the only thing it does is it's going to increase his normal terrible attack from 1 damage to 2 damage. Everything else is the same. But keep in mind, once Maegrim gets excited, he's doing that anyway. So he's also doing that with this extra ability. And keep in mind, this particular bonus here is specific to this action. So once he's inspired, this is actually worse than what he already has. This seems like a trap to me. I would not give this the time of day. Alright, we'll put Maegrim away. Great Swing. Okay, so Vol Orcbane here is definitely pulling out of the Bone Cutter playbook. It changes his normal attack into a 2 dagger attack, which is not good at all. Only 2 damage, and the nice thing is it affects everybody, but with only 2 daggers for your attack, you're probably going to see a great number of misses all at once, which is not going to do you much good. Also keep in mind that normally when he's inspired, he's got an attack that does 2 hammers, 3 damage, and knockback 1. Again, this is not really exciting me. Given some other cards, this might become better, but I'm not seeing a lot of benefit in this guy. Alright, so we'll put him away. Returning X. Okay, so we've looked at 3 cards so far, and all 3 of those are specific to an individual member of the team. This is another one for Megrim. Again, our chaff guy. Returning Axe. 3 hexes. Whoa. Okay, so it turns him into a strong range combatant. 2 daggers, which is not great. And 1 damage, but on a crit it has +1 damage. Alright, giving somebody ranged is nice, but keep in mind, you're still spending one of your precious 12 activations on using this attack. And you're going to get 1, maybe 2 damage out of it. Plus there's already Shade Glass Darts, which does essentially the same thing. So, unless you have a specific need to do a real ranged heavy build with the available cards, I'm not seeing a real use in having both this and Shade Glass Darts, or even one or the other. I don't know. We'll see about the other cards that pop up. Maybe this will synergize very well with something, but so far, I'm not super excited about what I've seen with the Fyreslayer specific upgrades. Okay. Just for the sake of argument, let me flip through here and see if there's any more that are restricted to a single one. And yeah, all but one of these is going to be restricted to a single member of the Fyreslayer's team. So that tells us a lot. That's going to really cut down on your tactical options. Again, this might make Fyreslayers more of a skill cap type of faction. It's very interesting that we have that kind of setup so far. Alright, so moving Mad Megrim over here. Let's look at Brute Strength for Tefk. This fighter's attack action gains knockback 1. Okay, so looking at Tefk, let's go ahead and excite him just for the sake of argument. Neither his normal attack versus or his inspired attack really has much in terms of special abilities, except if you crit in his inspired form, you're getting Cleave. So this could possibly give you Cleave and knockback 1, which is okay, but keep in mind how many of the other cards that we've seen so far that are based on getting those objectives and getting your enemy off of the objective. Knocking somebody back 1 is going to get them off of an objective, but it still means that they could put a ploy in to step back 1. Moving somebody 2, unless there's some serious shenanigans going on, you don't have to worry about them jumping back onto an objective. So that looks a little bit stronger based on that. Okay. Alright, so next up we have a card for Boss Man, Fuel Grimnir. Let's pull him back in. Alright, Grimnir's Blessing. Okay, it's a reaction restricted to Fuel Grimnir. During an attack action or play that would take this fighter out of action, roll a defense dice. If you roll a shield, the damage suffered by this fighter is ignored. Okay, so veteran Shadespire players should find this familiar. It's very similar to what happens with Soul Trap or with Gurzag's Unkillable. However, there's an important difference here. One downside, this is only on a shield, not a shield or a crit, which means you're looking at 2 chances out of 6. However, the other major difference between this and what we're used to with Soul Trap or Unkillable, this doesn't go away when you pull it off. So it's possible this could make Fuel Grimnir extremely difficult to kill, especially when he's inspired and he has 5 health. If we were speaking in terms of Age of Sigmar or Warhammer 40k, this is essentially your 5-up Feel No Pain, and anybody who's played those games can tell you just how powerful that is. So this is definitely a strong choice if you're going with a very fuel-centric build. Or even if you're not, honestly, because he does seem to be a very integral figure in this deck. Alright, here's another specific upgrade for Fuel Grimnir. Grimnir's Fortitude. +1 defense. Simple, straight, to the point. Okay, so this is going to make him, again, with the combination of the last card we saw, his 5 health and his shield defense dice, extremely powerful. We've seen with Stormcast just how powerful 2 defense dice can be. And we've also seen with some of the upgrades that are available for Garrett Gorebeard, how powerful these specific defense bumps can be. Just off the top of my head, with Fuel Grimnir here, you could have that +1 defense, it would get him up to 2. Plus you could have the Cursed Artifact card that would get him up to 3 defense dice on shields. When you add in Grimnir's Blessing here, he's going to be extremely hard to kill. And I think that puts him up. Fuel Grimnir so far is feeling very much like a Gurzag level of threat to your enemy. Okay, here's yet another Fuel Grimnir specific card. +2 move. With a guy that is, his major problem is that he's got 2 movement or 3 when he's inspired. Giving him not 1, but 2 move is going to put him in Khorne Bloodbound territory around getting around the board. With all of the other upgrades we're seeing in his massive 4 damage, I could definitely, just right now, see a build involving almost like a Khorne's Champion type build, but with Fuel Grimnir. Just stack upgrades on him and just have him run around and slaughter everything. Okay, and here's the last of our specific upgrades. This one goes to Vol Oricbane, who again is our Great Axe wielding Bone Cutter equivalent. Warsong. This fighter is considered to be 2 supporting fighters when they support rather than 1. Okay. Anybody who's played Orcs or Sepulchral Guard will definitely know how strong having that supposed accuracy, or that supposed support bonus to your accuracy is going to be. Considering that several of these characters do suffer from what could be considered a little bit of a low accuracy, or even Maegrim here with his frankly pathetic 3 daggers attack, even when inspired. This makes him a really great support character. Especially because he is himself very dangerous. I'm thinking of using this on him as a support person to somebody who's sitting on an objective, to make that objective very scary for your opponent to take on. This is your keep away guy if you're using this upgrade. Okay, and the only Fyreslayer specific card that is not specific to a character, Activated Runes. Each time this fighter makes an attack action, you can re-roll 1 dice. Okay, so we've got a lot of abilities activate on crits. We've got a lot of people that are only throwing 2 dice or 3 with daggers, so this is a very strong general option. And again, I'm seeing this as a good option for a tool fuel Grimnir up and have him murder everybody type of build. Again, though, we're running into the problem of, is this worth A, an upgrade point, and B, a place in your deck? Given that there are so many great upgrades in the game right now, I'm not completely sure. It's also worth mentioning that of all that we've seen, a lot of these characters, particularly in the Fire Slayers, are going to suffer from their base stats as opposed to what they could have when upgraded. It feels like most of these characters definitely need to be upgraded. So, with that in mind, it seems like just off the cuff, you're really going to want to build as many upgrades in the early game as you can with Fire Slayers. And the Fire Slayer specific objectives are okay, but there's nothing that really blew my hair back. Okay, so that took a lot more time than I was planning, so we'll go ahead and stop here, and in part 3 we will investigate the Fire Slayer specific ploys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.